again, happy Friday Eve, everybody. Happy mid-July. We are making it through the summer. For those of us in the north that are dealing with wildfire smoke, stay indoors today because it is nasty outside. Today's mastermind is all about thriving in change and uncertainty. And I know for many of us, this is a topic that comes to mind very often. Sometimes it's things that change is something that's constant that we always have to think about, and how we're going to not only just survive in the change, but thrive in it as well. So I am pleased today to host today's mastermind with my great friend, Valerie Heck. So I'm going to turn it over to Val. If you want to introduce yourself real quick, go for it.
Sure. So I am Valerie Heck. Thanks for introducing me that far. I've been in the industry for over 10 years. I started in a call center answering for over 400 different types of businesses. It was bondsmen, lawyers' offices, apartment complexes, all the things under the sun, totally, medical, everything. And one of the things that I noticed was that air conditioning was a need for my family. It always has been. My mom runs very hot and temperamental. So just growing up in that and seeing that, it's something that I just always just dove into after seeing, that it was something that I loved. And so I started in the call center, working my way through that. I've learned a little bit more about marketing and how it incorporates in building the operations of the business and is streamlining with a good customer experience across all levels. So I've dived into that. And then I've now got my business with my husband. I co-own Family First Comfort in the Fort Worth Metroplex, and we are just on and booming. It is busy season. I just had to turn my phone down and let the calls roll over to, so it's just, it's an exciting time for me, and I'm excited to be here and help you all learn more about how I thrive in change and uncertainty, but also to ask you how you thrive in change and uncertainty, and to help you look introspectively within yourself and find that positive, outlook on things whenever things are changing and, if they're uncertain. So thanks for rolling it over to me, and I'll give it back to Christyn now.
Thank you. Thank you, Valerie. So thank you everybody for taking the time to be here today, walking away from your day job to invest in yourself and really pour into yourselves, and perhaps share some things that you have learned along the way with the rest of us. If you are here and you're joining for the very first time, this hour is intentionally designed to be different from a typical session. So this is a mastermind, which means the value comes as much from each other as it does from anything that I am here to share or anything that Valerie shares as well. So this is your time to share with us. Unmute yourself. Feel free to join us on camera, and don't be shy. Perhaps if there's a question that you need to ask to get some feedback from the audience here, by all means, please do that as well. So Sheridan, if you want to go to the next slide, my friend. I wanted to start this one with a quote. So many of our greatest opportunities come from change we never would have chosen ourselves, but not every change feels positive when we are living through it. How many of you feel that resonates with you?
Totally.
Totally.
Second part, not the first part.
The second part, not the first part. Okay. Gail, do you want to start? Like, why you were quick to put that hand up, Gail. Why did this resonate with you so much?
So I have just had, looking back in life, so many opportunities that sometimes it was like a minor thing. There have been times I was devastated and like, why is this happening to me? And it always turns out to be something really wonderful on the other side of that. And so now if something happens, I try to just remember it's all for a reason and there's purpose. And I know that at the end of whatever this horrible thing is, there's going to be a new opportunity or a new way to grow or a new situation. It's applied in personal and professional life for me.
I would agree with that, right? So, there was a note. I would love to say your name, but it says human resources on. Yes, yes. You were quick to jump into it. No worries.
And I'm joined here with my colleague, Patrice. I'm sorry you guys can't see her that well. But I wanted to blur my somewhat cluttered background. Yes, and I can relate to what Gail said. Absolutely, there's been times of devastation in my life as well. As a matter of fact, I'm dealing with a really heartbreaking family emergency right now. But I think the best thing I can do is be around what's familiar to help me just kind of continue to not necessarily forget about what's going on, but just kind of use my energy that I do have in a positive direction. And the reason why I said the second part versus the first part, um, I would choose myself always, right? I would always choose to be exactly who I am. And I think the fun part is navigating through life and life's changes as who you are, and then picking up the things that you should along the way of life's journey,
Mhm.
but also dropping off some of the things in my journey. I am 50, so I'm at the age where I definitely am reevaluating my circle. And I want to be around women who are uplifting, who are positive, who are driven, ambitious, and they're like, I don't damn my age. I am the SHIT, and that's what I want to be around. I don't want to be around naysayers, negative people, because Gail, we've been around, and ladies, you've been around people that's been through what you've been through. I don't want to be around those people. I want to be around people who learn from the things they did go through, and now they're giving me a fresh perspective
Yeah.
outside of that lens. So I don't know if Patrice, you wanted to share anything.
Oh no, I definitely copy everything that you guys have said. Hello, hi. Now there's like a blur. I have a cube and there's like music and stuff, and she has her own office, so I just wanted to join in here.
I
Um,
love it.
I believe in everything, that everything has a reason, even when it's bad. I've gone through personal health situations and losses and been laid off, and I'm like, why is it happening to me type thing? But there's always, light at the end of the tunnel, and there's always
Yeah.
a reason. You just don't know, like in the moment, but later on, you're like, oh, this is why. So,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you, Patrice. Sheridan, if you wouldn't mind going to the first question on the next slide here. So, I tell this story a lot, but the first place that Valerie and I wanted to start was talking about a biggest positive turning point in your career. And did that begin with a change that you chose or a change you didn't? And I tell this story a lot, but the current role that I'm in today is a role that I did not choose myself. And it is a role that I constantly said, I don't want it. I don't want to do that. Stop asking me. I'm not here for it. I love what I'm doing. And it came to a Friday and she said, there's a job offer in your inbox and it will be there in a couple seconds. So I just want you to think about it. I said, I told you no. And she said, but just think about it. So it's one of those moments. I did not choose it myself. It was chosen for me. However, it was the most positive turning point in my career. So, Valerie, I want to open it up to you first and think about your biggest positive turning point, and did it begin with a change that you chose?
When I saw this slide, it made me giggle because no, it was not a change that we chose. It was, and I say we, myself and my husband both. It was almost like having just a turning point, a rug pulled out from under us. And we had to make that decision and we had to put our family first in what we did. And so that's why we created the business that we have now today. And we did not relocate, and we live in the Fort Worth Metroplex, and we proudly serve customers at the highest level with what we do. And so the biggest positive turning point in my career has 100%. I've always been driven. I've always joined in the women in HVACR meeting, sat and listened and tried to find out my why and how I can find my tribe and be thankful in this current moment when I'm going through these things that are just so unexpected for me. And it was definitely not a change that I chose, but it's a change that I would definitely never go back and change. I would keep projecting towards the future of uncertainty and diving in and knowing that no matter what it is, a bird, when it's on a tree branch, it learns to fly by just trusting its wings. It doesn't just, jump in fear. It has to trust in its own ability to fly and its instincts. And we have to really just become whatever we are becoming, like a river that's flowing. And I know I'm being very metaphorical, but it's something that when there's a turning point in your career, sometimes you have to face your fear with that uncertainty and recognize that your mind may be feeling a fear or an excitement, but that's because that change is something that's so special in the tapestry of your life that you have to go with that feeling. You can't reject your fears because those fears could be guiding your instincts to much bigger things. So, I definitely want to hear others' input on their turning points in their careers, and if what changes you've had and changes that you didn't. So,
Anyone else have any thoughts on this topic?
I'll go again. I already talked, but I'll be quiet after this one, I promise. I talked so much, you guys. I'm so sorry. But honestly, my turning point, like career-wise, actually came from going to my first Women in HVAC conference. I had lost my dad. I was a nurse. I lost my dad. I just didn't have it in me to take care of other people. That what made me good as a nurse. We were very close, and I don't know, it was something like it would just tear me back open every time I would go to work. So I left and I started a job at FTL Finance, which we do home improvement financing. Um, and I was like, the first few events I went to and everything, I'm like, oh my God, it's just all these men and like all this stuff. And then I went to my first Women in HVAC conference, and I will just never forget the feeling. It was like euphoric almost, and I just felt like, wow. I mean, obviously, I'm an elderly lady here, but I've never been in a room of women that just every single person was like their energy. You've got this. You're fantastic. You can do whatever you want to do and be whoever you want to be. All the things we probably all tell our daughters. It was just this environment that was electrifying for me. And I was thinking about leaving. I was actively looking for other jobs in other fields. That day, I was like, okay, this is my place and I love it. I feel super fortunate that I'm my age. I'm not counting down to retirement. I'm like, oh gosh, I hope, Lord willing, I'm able to make it another 10 years or something doing what I do. Um, so it was the biggest tragedy. And then it turned out like I have this life that I love and it's doing something actually my dad kind of did what I do. And so it all tied back together. But that was a place I finally found like a home or a village, or like you said, Valerie, a tribe that just, I
yeah.
don't know. I tap into it all the time.
Really, it does. My dad was a salesman. He's still with me, but he was retired, and he instilled in me the drive and the ambition to jump out there and drive. My mom was agoraphobic and didn't drive us anywhere. She took us to the doctor if anything, but that was it. And so everything that I get in terms of facing those fears and jumping out, I get it from my dad. So, really coming to the Women in HVACR events, it really is life changing. And just these meetings alone and finding my tribe and others that I can relate with and learn and grow from, it's 100% life changing. So, when you're going through those hard times that we can't really, that are out of our control, we have to turn our faith and just trust that there's a higher, understanding of what's going to become of us and how far we've come so far. So like in this current moment, just being thankful and just really it's special. So I like it when you're talking. So don't shut up. You said you'd shut up after this, but please continue and everybody continue talking. So let's, does anyone else have any turning points in their career that's did it begin with a change that you chose or didn't?
No, I just wanted to tell Gail she's not elderly, it's called seasoned, right? So the food tastes much better when it's seasoned. Okay. It's been around a while, had the time to sit, to permeate, to make it marinate. So you're seasoned, meaning you have lived a certain life, you're in a different stage, and now you're seasoned to share with us some of the nuggets that you've experienced. So that's all I wanted to say about that was seasoned.
I love that. And that's the thing too. Like as women, we just I say that in a joking way. Obviously, I'm fierce and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we just like you get to a place in life. I love that women you kind of like it sounded like you were heading there, Kristen, earlier, but women, I hope that it's happening for them at an earlier stage in life now, but to worry about yourself and your feelings and be like selfish has such a bad connotation attached to it, but there's ways to be selfish that are so good. And it's self-care and doing like really being selective about your time and what you do and who you spend it with and what your purpose is.
Yeah, I agree to the limiting of your circle. And I don't think it's being selfish. I think it's being your own best advocate. Though you want to find your tribe and have someone on your team that you can rely on when you're out of it and not feeling your best, always being your own best advocate, regardless, and knowing that you've got it is 100%.
Yeah, it's finding your table and sitting at that table. And if you can't find that table, you make your own table and you have folks come sit with you as well. Sheridan, there's a quote on the next slide that I wanted to go for. And sorry I had to change my location, folks, but we are moving and grooving as we go throughout the day today. Uh, Charles Darwin said it's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change, especially in our industry and really across industry and leadership today, particularly. We can't predict every disruption. You cannot predict every market shift. You can't predict technology changes, workforce challenges, but we can control how we respond to it. Today's conversation is about building that mindset and the habits that help us not just endure the change, but thrive through it as well. So I want this to sit here for just a second and think about, we can't change everything, but we can absolutely control it. So on the next slide as well, the question, how do you distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot during a major change? I think through, and when Valerie and I were putting this deck together, I think of my children, especially when they're going through a change, and kids especially, they take change in a very different way. And you have to remind them, well, what can you control and what can't you control? And why are you spending so much time worrying about all the things you can't control? Because you know you can't do anything about it. So I want to push this question out to all of you. How do you distinguish between what you can control and what you can't? How do you know?
Well, I have something to add. Well, it's a clear distinction between the two is where my story will come from. But so we're having in our particular team an issue with budget, right? So when you get to a point with a company that, and by the way, we are in construction. I think we're completely new to women in HVAC. I think we became members the early part of this year. So we're an energy consulting firm in new residential constructions, just so that you guys know. And Patrice and I are recruiters and recruiting specialists. What we cannot control is budget, right? So if you have a set budget that you used to actively work through and it worked for you, it's like, great, we can use this platform, pay for this platform, renew this platform. Our budget's this by the end of the year to roll over, blah, blah, blah. Then you get to a point where a company decides, hey, we need a halt on some of our hiring practices. We need to really reevaluate what positions we need to backfill, which ones we need to hire, if we need to promote at this time, promote later. So then it impacts a budget. And so our budget was slashed, I'm going to say like 75%. And so you have to be creative because one, that's out of our control. There's a clear distinction and it's pretty major. So now it forces us to be creative, not only as professionals in HR or recruiting, but creative as women. Women, I have two kids myself. We can drive a car, feed a baby, change clothes, put on their seatbelt, pick up their shoe that fell off, and then still get to where we need to go on time with crumbs all over our outfit. Then simply we can find a way to find creative ways to find talent versus the platforms we're used to. So that's the challenge that we're facing at this time. But I'm kind of excited about how much Patrice and I can push the envelope in being creative around the budget that we can't control.
Well said. Thank you. Lisa has a great comment in the chat as well. The best thing you can control is your behavior during times of change. Think to yourself, how are you showing up? Asking yourself, did I do my best? I ask myself all the time. Yesterday, Tuesday, very long days. Driving home, ask myself, did I show up the best way I could today? Is that the best I could do? Or can I do something different tomorrow? Define your success by consistency of your behavior versus the chaos that may be happening around you. And Felicia, it sounds like there's chaos, right? So, and I'm sure you're not the only one on this call. Out of the 35 of us, there's probably chaos at least once a day that we all have to deal with. So, opening this up to anybody else, how do you distinguish what you can control and what you can't?
For me, I'll just say kind of something that comes to mind is like boundaries, but then also like how I do react to things. So like you're saying, like we're responsible for controlling ourselves and how we react to things. And I find that like when something then crosses my boundary, that's when I find I feel a little out of control, or like I react maybe not in the best way that I would want to react in the situation. And so that's kind of something that's like coming up as you guys are all talking, like, yeah, there's you got to get creative, and there's a lot of things we can't control, and you can only control yourself and how you react. But I think some of that is to like enforcing your own boundaries so that when chaos does ensue, you are in control still of how you react. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the word that we're pulling out of that is boundaries. I just said to somebody yesterday, as I come back from vacation in a week or so, I'm creating some boundaries so that we don't continue to go in the chaos and in this craziness that we are in. And we have to think about what we can control. Miss Deborah Jenkins, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I am proudly old, OLD. Um, but I can tell the difference if I can't control something only after I felt like I've been beating my head up against the wall, because I usually try to always try to figure out a way of taking care of things. I pride myself on, if there's a solution, then maybe I can find it. So a lot of times, if it's when I get tired, or I'm thinking about it over and over again, and it may even interfere with my sleep, that's when I say, wait a minute, there really is a problem here. Um, but I don't necessarily see it at the very beginning, um, uh, because I like to solve things, and I've got a bit of a caretaker type of mentality. And I used to work in medicine before doing anything in HVAC, and we're the epitome of codependent. I think the book Codependent No More was probably written for healthcare people, and between social workers and teachers. And so always thinking that you can change things and make everybody else better and the whole situation better. So like I said, if I'm really ruminating about it, then it usually isn't that I don't have a solution for it. It's that it's something I cannot control. Or if I start to just get this free floating kind of feeling of anxiety, or sometimes anger. And I can't figure out, why am I angry? I mean, this is not that big of an issue. It's because of something else is not resolved, or I'm still trying to hold on to something. I do find that if I can be in a forum like this when other people are talking about what they do, or I really like my Lady Pro group. Now that we've got our Facebook group active, because the thing had almost died, um, and that it provides a forum for other people to express their opinions about what they're doing. And with each person's story, it provides reflection time. And I need that to be able to bounce off other people and to listen to them, because my expectations of self and what I can do have probably been unrealistic when I was a kid, all the way to being one old ass woman, but I'm proud of it. Been on Medicare for over 4 years. I ain't seasoned. I'm OLD and seasoned, I guess. I have to tease you guys a little bit about that. But yeah, I think that, I've been this way ever since I was a kid. So I need to hear other people that give me that reference point, because my own reference point of what's possible is I the only thing that's really changed over time is that I recognize it a little bit earlier, but my tendency of having too high of a bar, I'm probably gonna die like that.
That,
That's
that's a good that's a good
it.
point, Deborah. You said sometimes my bar is too high. So you said sometimes you have to understand why you're angry, and you have to take a look at the situation, and maybe you're just setting your bar too high for yourself, and that's okay. You can lower the bar. On the next slide, thank you for sharing too. Valerie and I put a list of things together that you can control and things that you should let go of. So we wanted to put this up here just as a way to remind all of us of what we can control and then what should we let go of. So looking at that first column first, you can control your mindset. You can absolutely, as Lisa said in the chat, you can control your response to it. Sometimes things just fall out of our faces and you're like, "Ooh, did I say that? Should I have said that? I don't know." But you can control your response. Sometimes it's the way that your facial expression is giving off. A change is happening and you're sitting in a call. Very often I need people to remind me, Christyn, turn your camera off, or Christyn, control your face. People can see it. It's little things like that. You can also control your communication, your relationships, your actions. Now, going on the other side of it, things that you let go of, gosh darn it, ladies, let go of predicting every outcome. You cannot make every prediction, and that's okay. You don't need to. You also don't need to have all of the freaking answers. But raise your hand if you try to have all of the answers all the time. Why do
Guilty.
we? Valerie, why do you try to have all the answers?
Sometimes I think it's like, the saying, like, if you want it done right the first time, do it yourself. But I don't think that that's the right outlook on it. So it's not a healthy way to do things, having all the answers. Like, that's why you need a team. So I'm not the best at everything and I can't reinvent the wheel. So it's definitely something to let go of, is having all the answers.
Absolutely. And then the last one on this list is waiting for certainty before acting. Valerie made a very good point earlier in this call, and she said birds, they're going to trust their wings. You don't just jump off and hope for the best, because hope is not a strategy. But sometimes we look at that edge of the pool and we're like, I'm not going to dive into it until I'm for certain that nothing bad is going to happen to me. But we can't always wait for that complete certainty before we do something. So you have to trust in yourself and trust in your team around you to just go for it. On the next slide, I want to talk about positive mindset. You think change, and automatically we say the word change and automatically we start to think, oh, right? It's negative. We're not all about it, because not all change is good. And perhaps sometimes the change is not presented in a way that's very positive. So I personally wanted to put this question in here today to get advice from all of you on how you all maintain a positive mindset, especially when circumstances are outside your control. So throwing this one out to all of you, hoping for some things to come back. What practices help you maintain that positive mindset?
I would say environmental influence. So things I listen to on the radio, people that I'm around, things that I'm reading, even things I'm eating. Um, I try to make all of those things be things that are good for me or good to me. So harsh words, things like that that I listen to. So I try to do that. I also try to take time to not get up and rush in the morning. The way I start my day can impact my day positively or negatively. So just trying to be um, mindful of the things I can control as far as situations I put myself in, things I expose myself to, people that I'm around, and just kind of taking time and be very cognizant of what's going on around me. So I'd say more like environmental things, things that I see I can be a part of, things I don't want to be a part of, things like that. Yeah, somebody said take deep breaths. As a matter of fact, when I come into the office, and Patrice knows, I come in and I may log in right away, or I'll wait not to touch anything on my computer, but just really come in, put my bags down, take 3 cleansing breaths. With the inhale, it'll be something positive. On the exhale, it'll be something that I want to get rid of that's negative, and just giving myself a minute to meditate before I get started with my day, because everything can be like a rush. But I try to have a routine of just starting my day positively, relaxing, inhaling, exhaling, providing a space with good energy, and then going from there. Because knowing I'm going to hit roadblocks that I have nothing to do with, that I didn't create, and just realizing again, this is something you didn't create. How are you going to choose to specifically deal with it, and have like a strategy almost?
So
I think
Felicia,
for me,
go ahead, Gail, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, kind of add on to that because I feel the same way. I think we know each other like in a former life or something. Everything you're saying, I'm resonating with. But I think for me, it's been learning how to not be so reactionary, right? And I think part of that is has always been you have a list of things a mile long, and I'm like, boom, 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 just like we said, trying to do everything and have all the answers. And I've had to learn to be very intentional. It's okay to take a minute and think about something I don't have to respond immediately. Very challenging for me since I do talk so much, but it's okay to just take a breath, take a minute and really be intentional about decision making and your mindset towards things. I try to get up every day and be like, I'm so thankful I'm here. I'm so thankful my body moves, my kids are healthy, my grandkids are healthy, like all of those kinds of things, because those things are things you truly cannot control all the time, is like health and things like that. So just try to remind myself of that, which is older as you or easier as you become more seasoned. Sorry, not older. It's hard when you're a young woman, and I don't know. I just feel for all you guys that are, working moms, and your kids are still doing sports and activities and all that stuff. I remember that stage in my life, and it's so hard because you're trying to be everything there too, And anyway, just trying not to be so reactionary
Yeah,
or
great.
intentional.
I
Yeah,
think I
great.
try to just lie to myself and tell myself everything is gonna be just fine. Like I radiate positivity even if I'm not feeling great, so it's kind of a different view for me. So for me to keep that positive mindset is giving positivity to other people, whether it's my team or my upper management. That's kind of how I work through it too, especially when it's out of my control. All I can do is laugh and just tell myself everything's going to be fine. It'll work out in the end. We'll figure it out.
So see, that's not a lie at all. And that's something that's healthy. I think there's a healthy viewpoint of that because I actually was watching and looking into something the other day where like if someone had been sick, two kids were sick and they were in the same room and they were gonna, one of them passed away and the parents took them out of the room and told the other boy that he had gotten better, and it actually like increased the health of the other boy, and he found out later that his brother had passed on. But if he had found out that his brother had like died from the illness, he would have likely passed on too. But the health and hope of getting better got him better. And there was another thing that I saw too, and I know this is kind of morbid, but it was like a mother and a son, and the son wasn't going to beat the cancer, but she let him ring the bell, and the joy on his face of ringing the bell was so beautiful that it's like, if that's the lies you have to tell yourself to get through that moment, you keep telling yourself those lies, please, because that's the way we can brainstorm to get better. And if it's outside of our control, it's not a lie to tell yourself that you will stay focused, believe in yourself, and there will be a positive outlook on this one way or another. There will always be some beauty and a silver lining in the uncertainty. So definitely
All,
keep telling yourself those things if you have.
yeah, no, all good points. And going back to Beth's comment, great comments, Valerie. going back to Beth's comments, it could be as simple as you're traveling and your flight gets canceled, your flight gets delayed. How many people do you see in the airport yelling and frustrated and angry? We can't control that. So why are we getting so upset about it? You're spending, as we see in the chat from Leslie too, you're spending energy being so frustrated and upset over things that you absolutely cannot control. So it's not worth it. Sheridan, would you mind going ahead 2 slides? I want to talk about the change curve before we run out of time here. Thank you, ma'am. When Valerie and I, again, were putting this together, we thought it's important to talk about the change curve because it is one of the simplest frameworks for understanding change. Most people don't move from hearing about a change to embracing it overnight. That's just not how we work as humans. We tend to move through a series of reactions. So when a change is announced, people often experience surprise or perhaps uncertainty. And the internal dialogue sounds a lot like, wow, I didn't expect this. What does this mean for me? At this stage, we need information, we need clarity as humans. And then comes the resistance. We hear, why are we doing this? The old way was working fine. This makes no sense. As leaders, it's important to remember that resistance doesn't always mean someone is just being difficult. Often resistance means something is important to them and they're trying to protect whatever it is that they value. As you move through the change curve, eventually people begin exploring. The conversation shifts from why is this happening over to how do we make this work? And that's where the learning begins. People start looking for opportunities. They start experimenting. They're testing new approaches. And then that's when finally people meet and reach acceptance and commitment. They've fully adjusted, their confidence returns, the new reality becomes normal. If you are a leader, and all of us are leaders at some point in life, one of the biggest mistakes leaders make is assuming everyone is at the same stage at the same time. A leader may have had 6 months to process a change before it's announced. Employees are hearing about it for the very first time. So as a leader, you may already be perhaps exploration or you're in acceptance. Others on your team might still be in shock or resistance. And you forgot as the leader that you were there once as well. So you have to meet them where they are. And don't think about this as if you're over in shock and denial that it's bad. And most people think successful people avoid the bottom of the curve. They absolutely do not avoid that. They just move through it faster. The goal isn't avoiding frustration or uncertainty or fear. You have to just recognize where you are in the curve, how you are going to move forward, and what does that mean for you? So the next question, what separates people who merely survive change, but from those that truly thrive? So thinking about the curve as well, how do you make that distinction? And Sheridan, you can go to the next slide. Valerie, any thoughts on this one?
What separates the people who merely survive the change from those who truly thrive during it? I would say taking ideas like small daily inconveniences as the things that delay us might just save us. So just always seeing it from a positive light. If you're feeling delayed from the changes that you're experiencing, know that those are going to reroute your schedule in a way that you can choose. You can choose the good or the bad, and the way that you choose, it's how you start your day. So I think that's it speaks to what they were saying earlier, is it's just you can choose to start your day positively, and then finding the things that make you feel good again. Like I like to go on my front porch and burn sage and incense. My husband hates the smell of it, so I don't burn it inside, but it's good to get outside and sit outside when it's not so hot. But finding the things that help me survive the change, and just going out there and meditating, and just being positive through it all, regardless of it, and believing in myself and a higher power that it's going to get better. So surviving the change day to day, moment by moment. It may, in one 10-minute span, I may think, oh my God, I don't have this at all. But then I have to recollect myself and gather that, yes, I do. I'm going to make a plan for it and survive through it and thrive through it. So what other feedback do y'all have on it?
I had feedback. I feel like I'm talking too much like Gail. Um, but I mean, I feel like this is such a relatable type of question. So, what separates people who merely survive the change? I would say your actions, right? Your actions, your behaviors, making that adjustment, realizing that you are doing this because you want to alter your frame of where you are now and where you want to be or where you want to go. So I would say action. I know for me, some of my insecurities that I deal with is I know that there's a better space professionally that I can be and I can go, but it's like I'm my worst judge or my worst enemy that won't push myself, right, to do it. Felicia, you can do these things, or I'll voice something or say something like, well, Felicia, why don't you take it on? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't say it to take it on, but you know what I mean? So it's almost like I would say what separates us is the actual behavior, the actual action that you put into place. And then the one that really is going to thrive through that change is the one where you're different from where you started from initially.
Love that.
100%.
Yeah, I kind of really agree with Felicia. And it also how you view it, right? Like I feel like if you're merely surviving, you're seeing it as a problem. Whereas if you're thriving through it, you're seeing it more as a challenge to better yourself or better the company or better the situation.
Exactly.
Love that. Sheridan, would you mind going up over to slide 13 for me real quick? I would love if everybody could answer this question in the chat. And the question is, what is one thing you can control this week that would move you forward? Type your answer into chat for us. What is one thing you can control this week that would move you forward?
Kristen, this is Lisa. I think Amanda, you put it in the chat, which is your attitude towards change. I mean, how you're looking at your situation and thinking about it is the most important thing you can do in times of change and to help you move forward. So I like that one.
I do too. I saw that one, Lisa. Thank you for bringing it up. I mean, we kind of laugh at this one, but it says when I go to bed, that is a serious thing that can help to move you forward, regardless of whether it's a time of change or just life in general. Getting enough sleep, feeling energized the next day, that is so very important, along with creating time for yourself. Having coffee in the morning. I love Felicia's advice to all of us, and maybe you don't log in right away. I have this horrible habit of taking my phone upstairs at night, my work phone, and so that before I get in the shower, I can check to say, what does my day look like? And I inadvertently every time read a message that I shouldn't have at 6 a.m. Right? So it changes the whole trajectory of the day. Lynn, I love your comment. Take a few minutes throughout the day for me time to decompress and reset. That's huge as well. Valerie, any thoughts on this one?
So I was just writing back about the spilled coffee theory. Laura said, what fills her cup? And so it's a self-help metaphor stating that when life shakes or bumps you, whatever emotion spills out is what you were already carrying inside. So if you're bumped and react with anger, it means the anger is in your cup. If you react with grace, it means you possess peace. So one of the best takeaways that I had from a course that I took on emotional intelligence was that I myself am very I drive towards negatives a lot and I have to be positive. And I had a one-on-one with one of my CSRs one time, and I was sitting there and I was thinking, I'm her leader, but yet I'm learning so much from her. And I sat there and I spoke with her, and it was the best. And I'm getting chills speaking about it today. And it's like she was the most positive person. I looked forward to our one-on-ones because it was like meeting with a self-help guru, and like the positivity that I would get and learn from just her and the way that she outlooked on life. It's like if I could 5 minutes have the same outlook, my day would be 10,000 times lighter. So if you can remind yourself to be happy, be thankful, be gentle with yourself, like a baby learning how to walk, like you never say, hey, you stupid baby, you fell. You say, good job, baby, you get it. You get up again and you keep going. So you take those changes, those stumbles, and you go with them and you roll forward. And those changes that you make this week in 1 year, 5 years, imagine where you're going to see yourself, because I never thought that I would see myself where I'm at right now. 1 year ago today, we're doing, great. And as far as like, I never expected it. So just continue to have that faith that things will work out in the way they should, especially when you don't know the uncertainties of everything, because you have other people who are looking up to you too, and you may not know it. So really, like it's special. You're a leader in your own way, no matter what your role is in your company that you're at, or in HVAC, or in life. I really pray that this week will propel you forward with the changes that you make, to look back on this and say, wow, that meeting was right. Like, look at me now. And we'll meet at the Women in HVACR conference, and you'll say, damn, Valerie, you were right. So excited about it.
Love it. Thank you. Sheridan, I have one last quote on the next slide, and then I want to pop a survey for all of you. Again, in times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped for a world that no longer exists. We'll just leave this one here for you. As we close out today's session, and Sheridan, you can pop that survey up on the screen for us. The Board of Women in HVAC really want to make an effort over the next year to get feedback for all of you, from all of you, to make sure that we're providing everything that you all are looking for. So if you wouldn't mind taking a few moments to scan that QR code and provide some feedback so that we can help improve future programs, we can look at our educational offerings, that would be super helpful for us. And I wanted to take a moment. This has been one of my favorite masterminds this year. So Valerie, I want to thank you so much for your effort, not only before this call, but on today's call, and being there with all of us. And everybody that participated, thank you all for being here today. Thank you for dropping things into the chat, coming off of mute. It was a great conversation. Valerie, any last comments before we go today?
I just want to thank everyone for joining today. You're never speaking too much. I hope that you speak out, speak loudly, boldly, proudly, always. And thank you. I can't wait to see you on the next meeting.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, everybody. Happy Friday Eve. Have a great weekend and a great Friday ahead. Bye, everybody.